what we need to do is that all of us need to invest a little more time in connecting with ourselves, our souls, that is. There is a very, very huge and growing number of people from different faiths and religions who are seriously now wanting to know what is the truth about their existence. Traditionally, in civilizations where you bury your departed, you will find their relatives standing at their graves and speaking at hours for hours on end, to their departed people, isn't it? So this need to reconnect is very strong. The fact of the matter is that when you lose somebody and you want to stay connected with them, you want to read up everything, whether it is fiction or whether it is scientific evidence or whether it is somebody's perspective, to reassure you. And why not? I mean, we need that reassurance, don't we? As we grow older in our lives, as individuals also, we just want a little bit of reassurance from life. That's what my book also gives. That's what all of the scriptures, etc., also give. One of the takeaways of my book, and please, I'll repeat myself because it needs very serious introspection. One of the great takeaways of my book is that grief is not the evidence of separation. Grief is the evidence that there will be more lives together. See, grief is not the evidence of separation, it is the proof that there will be more lives together. I grieve for my father or someone else, and that grief keeps me connected at the soul level to that person. And my want, my lust of reconnecting stays with that soul. And so therefore in future lives also there will be more love, more laughter, more sunshine, more picnics, more happiness. And this is another message. So if I were to give you 3 takeaways that you will get from my book, number 1 is that you never meet anyone you love for the first time or the last. Second is grief is not the evidence of separation, it is the proof of reunion. And the third message that my book will certainly give you is the mind will not remember, but the soul will not forget. And so therefore you will meet again and you will love again. That love might find a different relationship in other lives, but it will be there. In fact, I have regression therapists and people who are mediums, people who connect with souls on the other side, who are now my soul friends, my soul families. I'll just mention to you a very interesting story of one lady called Marcy McLeod. Now Marcy is from Queensland, Australia. We are from India. My wife is a fitness expert, and at one point in time she was the Reebok master trainer in India, one of the Reebok master trainers in India. And when Marcy came, one of the master trainers from Australia had told her that if you go to Delhi, meet Kompal, because you will both vibe very well. And when Marcy came over here and she met us, it turned out that apart from being one of the well-known global rehabilitation, sports injury rehabilitation therapists, she is also somebody who connects people with their departed souls. Okay, she is somebody who connects people with their relatives in coma. Now 25-30 years back, before my dad passed away, I would have again said, all right, yeah, this is another one trying to make a fast buck. But I tend to investigate a little bit further. Let me just tell you a couple of very interesting things about Marcy. And this is for all your listeners who are saying that, this guy's been talking a lot, but what evidence does he have in his own life that there is such a connect? I'll give you that evidence. So this Marcy came, we live in a place called Noida in India, which is on Delhi's border. And she came visiting, and out of courtesy, I said, I'll also come and say hi to her. My wife's name is Kompal. Not Komal, but Kompal. Marcy and my wife were walking home because the guest parking is a little away from where we stay. And she asked my wife, what does your name mean? And before my wife could answer, she says, wait a minute. Your brother is talking to me. Now, I'll tell you about her brother also. My wife jumped out of her skin. But what Marcy did was that she went up to one of the hedges, which was close by, and she touched a small little leaf. And she says, this is what your name means. And that is what it means. Kumpal is, freshly growing leaf. And then my wife said, what did you say about my brother? Now, my wife's brother had passed away just the year before that out of cancer. He was an army officer, serving army officer, 50-year-old, tough, strong, handsome young man, and he passed away. And so now, how did that happen? One can say that Marcy had read up about what this name means because today on Google you can research anything, and she just wanted to impress us the way that she impresses her clients. So how could she have known about my wife's brother? Now that's not where it all ends. When she came to our house, there are these portraits on our walls from one of the world's best wildlife photographers. He is also a globally acclaimed fashion photographer, Akash Das. Great friend of mine. He's a soul traveler with me, and the world over, you'll find his portraits of wildlife in the residences and the offices of the who's who of the world. Okay, whether it's the WHO or whether it is National Geographic, everywhere. Now the thing is that Akash has over a period of time gifted me a few of his spectacular wildlife pictures, which I framed and put in my living room. Now, when Masi stepped into our living room for the first time ever in her life, there is this incredible picture of a leopard crouching in the undergrowth in the forest. And she screams, Akash Das. And I said, Akash Das? She said, oh, I'm a big fan. I've been following his thing because, I'm fond of sketching. And I sketch especially his, because Akash has a very different way of looking at wildlife.
Hmm.
The wildlife is a prop in nature. That's how he looks at it. If you see his work. So anyway, so that became another coincidence. But then this is just the beginning of the coincidence. She says, "Can I meet him?" And I said, "No, he lives very far away. Lives in Delhi, so you know that Vasant Vihar is quite far away from Noida, especially during the evening traffic hours. It can take up to 2 hours to go." So I said, "Well, unfortunately, in your short visit, you might not be able to because he stays pretty far away, but I'll get you to speak to him." So I call up Akash Das and I say, Akash sir, and you know what he says? He's coming out of Greater Noida. He is about 1 kilometer away from my club in Greater Noida, where I and my wife are going to take Marcy for an early evening dinner. And he
Oh,
says, oh, I'm crossing the Stellar Gymkhana. I said, you just stay put over there, make a U-turn, and I have a surprise for you. And when we went over there, I was speaking in our language, Hindi, so Marcy didn't understand. We thought that, she's going to get the pleasant surprise shock of her life. But she wasn't very surprised. She said that I thought I'll meet Akash and I met him, and that's how it is. So, this is an incredible woman we met in our lives. She's my soul sister. I'm very, very sure about that. And, again, you'll say, where is the scientific evidence? And somebody will say, go get a DNA testing done. You can't do a DNA testing over soul families, can you? But
yeah, no.
I'm just saying that in jest. What I'm saying to you is that she has recommended my book to people who come to her in trauma or in grief, and she says that it is spiritual therapy. I am beyond, grateful to the big force up there for people from this space to say that, and I have the hope that people who are coming out of grief, trauma, when they read my book, other than engaging and entertaining them, it gives them the reassurance that have faith, there's more to come from those that you love. So that's what
Absolutely.
I believe. And there are other people. You also, I'm telling you, when you read my book, you'll be recommending it to people. And that's how our family will
Absolutely.
grow.
I'm
Yeah.
already recommending it to people, and
Very good.
for those who want to
Fantastic.
explore, his book is called "Which Life Are You From?" You can search on Amazon, right? And if you want me to message you the link, I will do that. So just message me, and I'll message you the link to his book. It's a beautiful book, and I'm going to be reading it soon. I haven't read it yet, but I've heard so much
Yes.
about it that I'm really, really excited to read it. And because I have read certain books before, I've read Many Lives, Many Masters, I've read
Yes.
Laws of the Spirit World, and they've really
Beautiful.
helped me. They've shown me a
Yes.
new perspective about life and past lives.
Yeah.
So I believe this is just going to add on to that in a much more beautiful and subtle way through fun and playfulness. And that's something that I'm willing to explore and I want to explore. Um,
Yeah. So
You
I
do talk
what I want
about,
to add
yeah, 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 go ahead.
what I want to add to what you're saying is something I'm going to repeat. I have converted into fiction all the wisdom that has given grieving souls and that has given souls in trauma, heartbroken souls, that has given those souls reassurance. I have converted all that into fiction because what I wanted to do was, mm, when I was growing up, our grandmothers would tell us stories from our old epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, etc. Correct? The children who grew up in the 90s grew up the in a time when these serials were being telecast on television. Those children know more in depth about our epics than my generation did. The point being that everything that is converted into a story becomes easier to comprehend and wrap your head around. So my attempt in Which Life Are You From has been to make you laugh a lot. You'll laugh much more than you laughed in a long time, I can promise you that. And to make you cry a lot also. Because crying also is therapy. Alright?
Yeah.
Because you will grieve at the death of a 6-year-old girl which you will have fallen in love with by then. But then later on in the book, you will laugh again because you will know she went nowhere. I'm telling you that my epilogue of my book is something which I've not written. It's
Yeah.
come from somewhere else. And what that epilogue does is that it combines both science and our ancient philosophies, and it explains to you how through the past several lives the different characters of the story would have related to each other. And therefore, there are 2 or 3 things that are very important in that which I want my readers, your viewers to mull over before they decide whether they want to read the book or not. One part is that when Bunny dies and she goes to the other side, what is said through the scriptures and everything is that there are our soul guides. In our Hindu faith and Sikh and all the other derivatives of Hindu faith, we believe that there are our ancestors who will guide us. For what? For that interview. And what does the interview do? In that interview, you have to give a complete account of your karmic balance from that life, from this life. And then the decision is made about what your other life is going to be. Correct?
Yeah.
So, what 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 I have done in that is that I have a dialogue between this little girl called Bunny and her soul guide, and he's going to mentor her about how to prepare for that interview. And she says, "Can I go to a church for that?" He says, "There's no church here." She says, "Then can I go to a temple?" He says, "No temple." And then she says, "A mosque?" He says, "There's no place of worship here." And she's a bit surprised. She says, "What do you mean? Isn't this place closer to God?" And this is the crux of the philosophy I'm pushing to you. He says, "What a preposterous thing. God is no one if he isn't everyone, and he is nowhere if he is not everywhere." You human beings have complicated this whole my God versus your God thing. Correct? But the
Yeah.
fact of the matter is that these places of worship are not required to connect to him. In fact, some atheists who have followed the right spiritual path without even knowing
Hmm.
might be evolving more as souls than a lot of people who are praying 4 hours a day. So, when the epilogue of my book comes, there are a lot of things which will perhaps completely shake my readers and their current beliefs in, which have also obviously grown out of what they've been told in their lives. So, I mean, yeah, that's one thing about the story. The other thing about the story is that for those who are already following some guru or the other, it will just convert all of that wisdom and that knowledge into something which they which entertains them.
Hmm.
That's what I
Yeah.
have to say.
Amazing. Very beautifully explained. And there was one thing which you specifically talk about is play and is just enjoying and laughing. So would you like to talk a little bit about that?
So,
I feel that Bunny is very playful and very joyful.
yes, yes, yes. So is
Yes.
your father, very playful. So am I, and so are my uncles who are now in their 70s. And this aspect of keeping that little child in you alive is something which I most strongly believe in. In fact, there is something I'd like to leave your viewers with. When I was growing up, everybody was talking about intelligence quotient, IQ. That if you have a high intelligence quotient, then you'll be successful in life. And then in the 70s, 80s, people started talking about emotional quotient, EQ. That your emotional quotient has to be high, because if your emotional quotient is high, then you are more humane than a lot of people who just become completely driven by success and they lose all sense of ethics and morals, etc., etc. So emotional quotient became very big. Then after that, in the 90s, a lot of very credible spiritual gurus of various different countries started, building their own followings. Then they started speaking about spiritual quotient, SQ. That if your spiritual quotient is high, then there will be success in life, and that success will be redefined. It's not the same success that, so many numbers of cars and so much in the bank and blah 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 blah. But so they started talking about spiritual quotient. Ever since then, I have been speaking to my friends for the past 20 years, and I have been saying that very soon it will come to LQ. Now I'll park LQ aside for a while. So what I'm saying is that people started speaking about spiritual quotient, and I have been talking about LQ since then. In between, what has happened is, over the past 10-15 years, there's a lot of talk about happiness quotient. That if your happiness quotient is high, then generally you're in a good space, because let's not talk about demented psychics. Let's not talk about not psychics, sorry, psychos. Let's not talk about people who derive pleasure out of murdering other people, or that. But let's talk about a normal human being. You're only happy, guilty, if you're not cheating people. Now, it's all very well for me to say that, nobody knows what I did, but I know. And that's something that I can't escape from, right? So you'll be happy if you are generally in a space where you are not damaging other people for your own success, blah, blah. But now comes my LQ theory. And my LQ theory is laughter quotient. And what I say is that if you're laughing a lot, and not the kind of a laughter that you see in the morning laughter clubs where you're forcing a laugh out of you. If you're genuinely laughing a lot, then something has got to be right about you. Because your spiritual quotient is going to be very well balanced for you to be able to laugh a lot. You would be in a place where maybe your neighbor is richer than you, that doesn't disturb you. Or you might be richer than your neighbor, and you might not look down upon her or him. Also, if you're laughing a lot, you're probably sleeping quite well. You're not keeping a lot of closets, skeletons in your cupboard. You are not, and so one of the messages that my book will give you is, when it makes you laugh a lot more than you're laughing now, and things will be okay. And you'll find reasons to laugh then, because then what happens is that simplicity is the mother of laughter. If you're living simple, if you're simple in your head, then laughter is a natural byproduct of that. So there are a lot of messages in the book, but by and large, what it is saying is, don't worry, be happy. You will meet your loved ones again, and so that's how it is.
Absolutely. So beautiful. And I'm taking so much wisdom back, and I'm excited to read the book. For those who want to order with me and read with me, it's available on Amazon. If you want the link, I can message it to you. So just send me a message. And you can also follow him for more, especially on Facebook, where he posts most of his content, and his presence is much larger there.
I'm coming on Insta also now. I'm learning.
Now,
That's like you were teaching.
Now, because of me, he's on Insta. He's gonna increase his presence on Instagram as
Yes,
well, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So there's much more to come. We'll also try and have a session on parenting very soon,
Yes. Yes.
right? So grateful to have you, and very, very happy for this session. So thank you so much for joining in. It
It
was a
was
pleasure.
absolutely my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. We must talk more, because the book is okay. It's talking about multiple lives. It's rooted in this life. It's talking about relationships, and relationships is a very vast subject. When we talk about parenting, we can also talk about the relationships between spouses, the relationships between friends, and it's a fascinating space to go in.
Absolutely.
So
So
it was
one,
my pleasure to talk to you.
same here. One last message you would like to leave with? Any one last quote or one liner?
When it rains, go out and play.
So
What I'm
amazing.
saying to you, what I'm saying to you is that as a grandparent, you'll probably connect way better with your grandchild than you did with your children.
Yeah.
Now, is there a message there for you? There is. The message is that it's a little late, but you should have connected with your children exactly the same way as you, as a grandparent, connecting with your grandchildren. Because ultimately, what will happen is that the soul that has newly arrived in this world has come from the big university. That soul knows a lot more than you and I know. In fact, the first chapter of my book is just one page, and it says that what if babies know a lot more than we do? And what if it is us who will cloud their thinking the way our thinking was clouded by our own parents and grandparents? And what if it is us who will disconnect them from the ultimate truth? So what I'm saying is, my final message is, when it rains, go out and play. When you see a wildflower growing somewhere, don't call it a weed. It is a flower after all. If you have to pluck it out of your wall, please do that. But appreciate the beauty of the flower and the sunset and the rainbow, and life is good.
Absolutely. Life is good. Thank you so much. And have a
Thank you.
beautiful evening ahead. Thank you for joining
You
in
too.
to many more such sessions.